A billionaire in a wheelchair stared at his maid and said, "Evelyn, I lost everything." She didn't panic, didn't ask for money. She just placed a blanket over his legs and whispered, "Then you still have me, sir." What she didn't know was that it was all a lie. He still owned everything. This was his loyalty test. And in his final days, what she did next would shock everyone. Before we start the full story, make sure you subscribe, because what happens next will change how you see loyalty forever. Richard Hale had everything: private jets, glass towers, and a name that made people stand straighter when he passed. But ever since the car accident, all he could move were his hands and his eyes. The man who once ran the world now sat in a chair staring out at it. His mansion echoed with silence, except for one voice. Evelyn Brooks, a maid who'd been working there for 10 years. She never called him sir in fear or formality. She said it softly with care. "Good morning, sir." "Your breakfast is ready, sir." He never replied, just looked away, because kindness reminded him of everything he'd lost. When the other staff quit after his paralysis, Evelyn stayed. She cleaned his house, cooked his meals, and read his mail aloud when his hands trembled too much to hold it. But Richard never said thank you. Not once. Until one afternoon she was polishing the piano, the same one his late wife used to play. He rolled up behind her and whispered, "Do you ever get tired of being invisible, Evelyn?" She smiled faintly. Only when people forget that invisible hands still keep their world clean. That line froze him. For the first time in years he saw her. Not just the maid, but a woman who refused to break. That night he watched her from his study window as she carried groceries in during the rain. His son Thomas called. "Dad, I'll visit next week. Just wire me some cash." Richard hung up without a word. He looked back at Evelyn, drenched, still working, and something in him shifted. The next morning he told his lawyer, "If everyone's loyal when you're rich, then what happens when you're not?" The lawyer raised a brow. "You want to test her?" Richard smiled faintly. "No, I want to test myself." That's when the plan began. A test of loyalty no one would see coming. The next morning, Richard's mansion felt different. He woke earlier than usual, his eyes fixed on the mirror beside his bed. A reflection of a man who once commanded the world, now planning a test that could break his last remaining connection to it. He called Evelyn to his study. When she walked in, he didn't look at her. "Evelyn, I'm letting most of the staff go. Times are difficult." She didn't flinch. "I understand, sir," he nodded. "I might have to sell the house. Maybe even this chair," he said, forcing a tired laugh. She smiled faintly. "Then I'll push whatever chair you have left, sir." He blinked and almost broke character, but held it in. By afternoon, word spread. The mansion's luxury cars were sold. His company stock collapsed. The lawyer even came by to collect final payments. Everything looked real. Evelyn didn't ask questions. She just started cooking smaller meals, reusing cleaning supplies, even fixing a torn curtain herself. He watched quietly from the hall, his heart twisting tighter each day. Thomas finally showed up, angry, loud, and demanding. "Dad, what's going on?" "People say you're broke." "Believe what you want," Richard said coldly. Thomas scoffed. "If this maid's still here when you're out on the street, I'll be shocked." Then he stormed off, slamming the door. Later that night, Richard heard faint humming from the kitchen, the same gospel melody he hadn't heard since before the accident. He wheeled in quietly. Evelyn was washing dishes, softly singing through tears. "You're still here," he said. She turned, smiling. "You still need someone to turn off the lights, don't you?" He looked at her like he hadn't in years. Not as a maid, not as a servant, but as the only soul who saw the man, not the money. That night, he whispered to himself. She passed the test, but what he didn't know was that someone else had just started theirs. Thomas Hale had always been his father's weakness. The only child of power and privilege, raised to inherit everything but never taught how to earn it. He came back to the mansion not out of concern but out of curiosity. Rumors of bankruptcy travel fast, especially when you're the one spreading them. Thomas walked in with fake sympathy and a fake smile. "Dad, I heard what happened. I'm so sorry." Richard just nodded, eyes empty. "Don't be. I still have what matters." Thomas glanced toward the maid wiping a table nearby and smirked. Yeah, loyalty's nice, I guess, but it doesn't pay the bills. Later that night, Thomas cornered Evelyn in the hallway. You've been here a long time, haven't you? 10 years, she said quietly. Then you must know my father's secrets. Bank accounts, passwords. Evelyn frowned. I only know how to make his coffee, sir. Thomas stepped closer. You know, if you helped me, I could help you. You deserve more than this. She stepped back, voice firm. I already have more than you, peace. Thomas left, furious. He knew she was loyal, and that made him hate her more. The next morning, Richard woke to find his safe open. Documents gone. His son's car, missing. Evelyn ran in, panicked. Sir, the study? Someone broke in. Richard looked at her, calm. No, Evelyn. Someone didn't break in, someone broke out. He called his lawyer, voice trembling for the first time. He took the papers, the shares, everything. Should I alert the police? No, let him run. Evelyn sat beside him. You're not angry? I'm broken, he said softly, but not surprised. That night, Evelyn found him staring out at the garden, whispering to himself. I tested loyalty, but I never taught it. And just when it seemed like he'd lost everything, the real twist began, because what his son stole wasn't what it seemed. For 2 days, the mansion stayed silent. The police were never called. Evelyn kept working, polishing floors, watering flowers, like nothing had changed. But Richard knew she was just holding herself together. Late one night, he called her into the study. Evelyn, sit down. She hesitated. Sir? Please, he said softly. I want you to hear something. He pulled out a voice recorder from his drawer and pressed play. Thomas's voice filled the room. If you help me find his accounts, I'll pay you more than he ever will. Evelyn's eyes widened. You recorded him? I record everything, Richard said quietly. Even loyalty. He turned to the window. He didn't steal what he thought he did. What do you mean? Those papers were blank copies, no test documents. I wanted to see what mattered more to him, wealth or blood. She looked down, heart heavy. And now you know. Yes, Richard said. And now I also know something else. He opened a drawer and slid an envelope across the desk. This is for you. She frowned, opening it. Inside was a deed to the mansion. Her hands shook. I can't take this. You already earned it, he said. Why, she whispered. Because you stayed when I had nothing. That's worth more than everyone who came when I had everything. Tears welled in her eyes. You shouldn't give me this, he smiled faintly. Evelyn, I'm not giving it to you. I'm returning it. This house hasn't felt like home since my wife died, until you started singing again. She covered her mouth, sobbing quietly. And for the first time in a decade, he smiled, but before she could thank him, he coughed hard, his body trembling. She ran to his side, shouting for help. The lawyer rushed in, pale. He said if this ever happened, the lawyer whispered, handing her a sealed letter, you'd know what to do. The test wasn't over. It was just beginning. Evelyn sat beside the billionaire's hospital bed. Machines hummed softly. Sunlight filtered through the blinds. He was alive, but fading. The sealed letter lay in her lap like a heartbeat waiting to stop. She didn't open it at first. She couldn't. When the doctor left the room, she finally tore it open with trembling hands. Inside was a handwritten note and a small brass key taped to it. She unfolded the paper. His handwriting was shaky, but every word cut deep. Evelyn, if you're reading this, I'm gone, or close enough to it. I don't know if I ever told you this, but I once had someone like you. Her name was Lila. She was the one who loved me before I had money, before the chair, before the pride. I left her for a life I thought I wanted. When she died, I realized I lost the only person who ever saw me as human. You reminded me of her, not because you look like her, but because you live like her. Honest, patient, loyal. The key belongs to the small box in my study. What's inside is yours. You gave me back the one thing no doctor could. Peace. Her tears hit the page before she finished reading. She pressed the letter to her heart, whispering, You never needed to test me, sir. I was already yours to protect. That night, she went back to the mansion alone. The house was silent again, but it felt different. When she opened the study drawer with the brass key, she found a small wooden box. Inside, a single photo of Richard's late wife, Lila, and a second photo. of Evelyn smiling while serving tea. Behind it was a legal document, full transfer of estate and foundation in name of Evelyn Brooks. Her hands shook. She smiled through tears. Then she whispered, "You passed the real test, sir," because even in death he'd chosen loyalty, not blood. The next morning, the mansion wasn't silent anymore. A black SUV screeched into the driveway. Thomas Hale stepped out, furious, unshaven, and already shouting before he even reached the door. "Where is she? Where's that woman?" Evelyn was in the living room, holding the letter close to her chest. "Thomas, please. Your father's resting. Don't please me. You think you can fool everyone with your little act? My father didn't leave you anything." The lawyer, Dr. Miller, stepped in calmly, carrying a briefcase. "Actually?" "He did." Thomas froze. "What did you just say?" Miller placed a set of papers on the table. "Your father's final directive was clear. The house, the company shares, and the charity fund all transfer to Ms. Evelyn Brooks." Thomas's face went pale. "This is a joke. A maid can't own what's mine." "It was never yours," Miller replied. He lunged forward, trying to grab the papers. Evelyn stepped back, her voice steady. "He tested us both, Thomas. You failed. I stayed." He glared at her, trembling with rage. "You think you're better than me?" "No," she said quietly. "Just more grateful." The lawyer sighed. "Mr. Hale, your father also asked me to play a message if this ever happened." He pressed play on his phone. Richard's weak voice echoed through the room. "Son, loyalty can't be bought, inherited, or stolen. You'll understand that when the last person standing beside you isn't there for money." Thomas's expression broke. He looked at Evelyn, the woman he'd insulted, the one still standing in front of him. Then he stormed out, slamming the door so hard the chandelier trembled. Evelyn closed her eyes, holding back tears. The lawyer smiled gently. "You handled that better than any billionaire I've ever known." "That's because I wasn't one," she whispered. "I just worked for one who finally learned what wealth means." Outside, the black SUV sped away. Inside, the house stood still, peaceful again for the first time since loyalty was tested. Months passed. The mansion that once echoed with silence was now alive again, not with parties or power, but with purpose. Evelyn turned Richard's office into something new, the Hale Foundation for Second Chances. Its mission, to help disabled workers and struggling single mothers find jobs, homes, and dignity. Every morning, she sat in the same chair where Richard once sat, not behind the desk, but beside it. The lawyer had told her, "You're the owner now," but she'd smiled and replied, "No, I'm just the caretaker of what loyalty built." The first applicant who walked in was a young mother with a limp and 2 children waiting outside. Evelyn helped her fill out the form personally. "You've done this before?" the woman asked softly. "Yes," Evelyn smiled, "just on the other side of the desk." As days turned into weeks, the foundation began to grow. Photographs of Richard and his wife Lila hung on the walls, reminders of how love and regret can rebuild a soul. One evening, she stood by the grand window, the sunset bathing her in warm light. She whispered, "You see this, sir? You didn't just leave me a house. You left me a heartbeat." Outside, the same garden Richard once stared at was now filled with laughter. Children playing, families smiling, volunteers working together. It wasn't a mansion anymore. It was a home. Then the lawyer arrived one last time carrying a small box. "It was found in Mr. Hale's personal vault," he said. Inside was a gold plaque engraved with Richard's handwriting, "To Evelyn Brooks, the only proof that loyalty still exists." Her eyes filled again. She placed the plaque at the entrance of the foundation. People passed it every day, but none of them knew the full story behind it. Only Evelyn did, and every time she looked at it, she whispered, "You gave me your world." And I gave it meaning. The billionaire's test had ended, but his lesson had just begun, through her. It was a quiet Sunday morning. The mansion, now the Hale Foundation, glowed under the early golden light. The halls that once echoed with loneliness now carried the sound of life, laughter, and second chances. Evelyn stood in the garden, holding a small white rose, Richard's favorite. She knelt beside a marble stone under the old oak tree. The name engraved read, "Richard Hale, a man who finally found his fortune." She smiled softly. You tested loyalty, sir. And in the end, you taught it. A little boy ran past her, laughing. His wheelchair rolled fast across the grass, chased by 2 volunteers. Evelyn watched, smiling, a tear glistening in her eye. The same chair that once symbolized Richard's pain now symbolized hope for others. Inside, she walked down the hall, past portraits of the Foundation's success stories. One photo stopped her, her own standing next to the plaque that said, "Loyalty still exists." She whispered, "You gave me a life." And I gave it back. The lawyer entered quietly. "You've done something he couldn't. You turned wealth into worth." Evelyn smiled. "No, Mr. Miller, he did that. I just made sure it lasted." As sunlight filled the corridor, Evelyn turned toward the window. Outside, the city shimmered. The same skyline that once belonged to a lonely billionaire, now rebuilt in kindness. She placed her hand on the glass, whispering to herself, "Loyalty doesn't need to be proven. It just needs to be lived." The camera slowly pulls back, showing the entire Foundation alive with people, laughter, and purpose. The billionaire's mansion had become something no money could ever buy, a legacy born from loyalty. Moral loyalty isn't proven by words or wealth. It's revealed by presence. The richest person isn't the one who has the most. It's the one who stays when there's nothing left to take.